So we got about, I don't know, 25, 30 pounds maybe. Any objections? No? Okay, let's go. And if not, well, you'll see it blowing bubbles because I've got it on backwards. I don't know. What are you going to do? We'll do what we can, that's all. 87 octane. It's pumping. Holy crap. Falling to pieces here. Well, I was just about to put this water pump pulley on, and I realized, because we don't want to commingle our voltages here. Let's get that off of there. Welcome back to the channel, folks. We're finally back on the 1941 Chrysler Business Coupe Flathead 6. It's been a while, I guess a minute or two, maybe 2 weeks. But we're getting back on her, and in this episode we're going to try and start it up. We've got a few things still to attach, which would be the generator. It's got to go on, the cooling fan and belt, and then we got to get working on a set of ignition wires. And then we're going to need a remote tank rigged up. So we got some fuel line and a gas can, and then we're just going to crank it over and we're going to try and start it. Okay, that's going to be just fine for now. Next we got to put our water pump pulley on, and then we'll put the cooling fan and the belt. And we're not going to worry too much about this generator, whether it's functioning or not, because we don't want to rebuild everything if this motor isn't even going to run. So, but I did check the brass bushings in here and gave them a good lubrication. So I know they're freed up and it's all running good. So that's as far as we're going to go with that for now. But it's going to allow us to put the cooling fan on and the fan belt on. So that's going to be just great. Once we get this on, I think we're going to crank it over and make sure we're getting fuel. I kind of want to do this in stages, simple stages. It's never simple, but it took us a long time to get this engine to the point where it actually had compression and a working carburetor, as far as I know. We've done everything we can to make that work. But I would like to see the fuel pump working, and then we know we have fuel, we have compression, and the next thing will be looking for the ignition wires and getting some spark. And then we'll go from there. So I think that's going to work out just fine. So let's keep going on this cooling system. Well, I was just about to put this water pump pulley on, and I realized that there's actually a grease nipple on the water pump. So before we do anything, we're going to grease that and see if we can make sure that that's all nicely lubricated and freed up. So yeah, I'm surprised by that. Let me go grab a grease gun. Let's see if we can get this thing to take grease after 30 years of sitting. Well, it is taking grease. Don't see anything yet. I would imagine it's going to come out through the shaft here at some point, but it's probably totally empty. Oh, there it comes. Right there. There's a little bit of grease coming out of the shaft. And of course we have a bit of leakage here, which is normal. But right here, there's definitely grease. It looks like old stuff now coming out, but give it another shot. So you can see the grease coming out here. And a lot of excess coming off the grease nipple, but for the most part, yeah, we've got grease in there. Let's take that off. Yeah, there's the new grease coming too. That's good. So we know that's working, and we know it's lubricated. And that's the best we can do, really. I mean, you just gotta love this stuff that was greasable and rebuildable. Yeah, hopefully that works into the whole, I don't know, imagine there's some kind of bushing in there. That'd be my guess. Probably not bearings, but probably a bushing and some kind of seal. But we're doing our best, and this should certainly help. Well, let's get this pulley and fan on, and then we can throw the belt on, and then we're basically complete with the cooling system for now. Okay, which way does it go? Or maybe it doesn't. Come on, line up. Something like that. Nope. Yep. So we're not going to put any water into this thing just yet. or I should say any coolant, until we know it's going to actually fire up, and then we'll worry about putting some coolant in it and get some hoses and a radiator and all that stuff. But we just want this to function, and we'll go from there. All right, let's get a wrench on here. All right, now the fan belt. Now this is something I ordered off, where did I get it? Somewhere off the internet anyways. So hopefully I got the right one, because the other one that was on here was way too loose. So we'll see what happens. Better save that part number just in case. Okay, let's hope for the best here. Oh man, this doesn't feel too good. Well, I don't know. Looks short to me, but yeah, we're on the pulleys, I think. Yep, okay. Let's see if we can pull that generator over, or push. Wow, we're close. That's going to be a challenge, but I think it'll go. It's going to be tight, that's for sure. But I think if we undo the top bolt there, get the belt on, and then put the bolt back, that might do it. All right, there's the bolt. Now we can lift it right up and try and pull it around. Come on now, work with me. Well, either it's the wrong belt or the wrong generator. Running out of options now. There it is. Wow, that's tight. Let's see if we can actually get it tightened up properly. Oh yeah, it's just fine. That's sort of lined up. Yeah, okay. I think the belt's okay. It's just tight to get on, but other than that, we're still in the range here for adjusting it, so that should be just fine. Oh, that's perfect. Next on the list is going to be ignition wires. We've got to clean up this cap. The original cap, we'll clean it up and make some new wires and snap that onto the distributor. All right, let's get to it. So we got our cooling fan all figured out. That's all fine. We got the water pump greased. The generator is in. The belt is on. That's all good. Before we move on to the ignition system, we want to make sure the fuel pump is working, because one subscriber suggested that maybe I have it on backwards or upside down, which is quite possible. I might have the lines reversed. Who knows? So what we're going to do is we're going to put some gas in this fuel container, and we're going to crank the engine over and see if we can get fuel at the filter. And if it'll fill the carburetor, that's even better. So we're going to take it to that point, and if that's successful, we don't have any leaks and everything's pumping like it should, we know we have fuel, then we'll move on to the ignition system. So let me get this fuel prepared. .87 octane. That should be enough for a test anyways. And then we'll set that up on the other fender. But before I do that, I'm going to put some two-stroke oil in there. I love the smell of two-stroke, so this won't hurt to get it in the system a bit. That's enough, probably. Let's mix it up and see. That's actually from a chainsaw, a steel, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Give it a little bit of color, won't hurt. Wonder if that's enough. Let's give it a touch more. This will help lubricate the, well, pretty much everything. That should do it. All right. Mix that up real nice, and then we'll set that up on the other fender. Hopefully it doesn't fall during the process. And Throw a lid on it for safety. Get it right in the juice there. Oh, that's nice. All right, let's see what happens. Now all we got to do is hook the battery onto it. And before we have an explosion, I think I'll set this 4 gallons of fuel outside. All right. So in theory, it should start pumping and showing fuel at the fuel filter, if all goes well. And if not, well, you'll see it blowing bubbles because I've got it on backwards. So is there any reason why we can't do this? Any objections? No? Okay, let's go. Well, I don't see anything happening at all. And I don't see bubbles in the fuel. So, I wonder what's going on. Is the fuel pump non-functioning? That's possible. Because I don't see anything at all. Well, let's give it another shot. Maybe it takes a bit. It's an old pump and it's sat for, who knows, 30 years or so. And maybe it's no longer functioning. Let's see if we have any leaks. So far, I don't see nothing. No leaks, no fuel. All right, let's give it another shot. I like how this really cranks over on that 12 volts. It's amazing. Probably shouldn't be doing it, but we're doing it. I think I see something. Maybe I'll pull the plugs. Yeah, they look dry anyways. Let's pull them out, make it easier to turn over, but I think I'm seeing something at the filter there. Thought I saw a little splash. Now, it could be my imagination because, you know, I'm an old man and all that, but I'm feeling confident now. I think I saw something. And I don't see any bubbles in the fuel container. So that's a good sign. All right, let's crank it over again, see what happens. Keep an eye on that filter because that's... You should be able to see it with that blue tinge to it. Yep, there it is. It's pumping. All right, we've got fuel and a fuel pump. Wonder if we're getting anything in the carburetor. Let's have a look. Well, can't say I see anything yet, but might not be full yet. Let's give her a few more cranks. Now, I don't think probably the accelerator pump isn't going to work because when I had that apart, the seal on the accelerator pump was pretty dry. And I don't think it's going to seal. But it should still fill the carburetor. And if we have to, we'll pour some juice down the carburetor to get it started. But that's a good sign. We're getting fuel. The fuel pump is working. Let's crank it over a bit more and see if there's any sign of leakage on the carburetor. I already see some. So that tells me that the bowl is full and there's some fuel seeping through the gasket, which on these old carbs, you know, they were famous for warping, and the factory gasket is not going to seal it, which has just been proven now. But let's crank it over a bit more, see how much it drips. I want to know if it's actually overflowing, because it could be. Let's do it. Might as well face the music now. Well, it's not overflowing, but I do see the seepage there. Let me check again and see if we got accelerator pump. It's possible, but I'm not really expecting that to work. Well, give me a light so I can see. No, I don't see anything in the accelerator pump, but we know we got fuel in the carburetor, so that's a good start. And then we'll go from there. Let's go down to the ignition system. Here's the old distributor cap. It's pretty grimy. It needs some cleaning on the inside too, but I think it's still intact. The copper connectors, they look okay so far. So we're going to try and reuse this. Let me clean it up and we'll get back to the ignition system. Got it cleaned up a little bit better, and got the contacts cleaned and the dirt off it, and on the inside got that all cleaned up. Now this is actually a Autolite product. This is a fairly old one, I'm assuming. These were quality items back in the day. Autolite, made in the USA. Good stuff. All right, let's carry on. Okay, we've got our cap secured, and now we've got to put our wires in. Oh, forgot to tighten that up. Holy crap, falling to pieces here. Loose bolts everywhere. All right. Okay, so there's our wire loom. Now we just got to feed our wires, our ignition wires, through these holes here. Let's hope. Yeah. And boom, make new wires. Unfortunately, I don't have any more of this. These are leftovers from the panel truck, and they're not enough there or long enough to do it. So we're going to have to make it from these older wires, which are going to have to do for now. And if they don't, well, then we'll do something else. But hopefully we got enough here to do what we need. We're going to have to make new ends for them to fit that cap, which we can get off the old wires. Some of the fitting, I don't know. What are you going to do? We'll do what we can, that's all. All right, let me get to it. Okay, everything's back under control again. We've got a set of wires on here. Well, at least half the set. Anyways, I've still got to do the ends on here, put the connectors on, and cut them to length. And then need to figure out the firing order. I don't know what the firing order is on this. I'll have to look it up on the internet. And unless it's on the motor somewhere, but I don't know. We'll figure that out. Cut these to length, jam them in the distributor cap in the proper order, and then we'll go from there. All right. Well, we have our wires. Well, they're used wires, but that's what we're going to use for now. A bit of a mix and match system going here. Some 8mm and some 7mm, but it's looking pretty good. We just have one left, which is for the coil, which it's got a kind of an odd coil connector here. Let me just set you down. This just screws out, and then from what I can gather, this just slips in there, and then I guess bend that over and feed it back in, and hopefully that tightens up. Yep. Okay, that's cool. So now we've got ignition wires and a very old coil. So we know this is 6 volts positive ground. And on these coils, there's just one wire there to go to the distributor, and one for the ignition spark. And the other wire is on the other side of the coil on the firewall. So we got to run some power to the back of the coil, and then from here this should go to the distributor, which is a fairly simple situation. We got a lot of wires here. Most of them are disconnected. There's been some rewiring going on. A lot of things are not connected. So let's see if we can find the coil connector in here. Hold on. What's that? Is that oil? Yep. Where's that coming from? I know we got an oil pressure gauge, but we haven't had this thing running. Maybe we'll get a light and see what's going on. I wonder if it's because we've been cranking it over to test the fuel pump. Let's have a look. Yeah, what else could it be? It's definitely oil. Dirty oil. But then it's coming from that oil line from the engine, which wouldn't have gotten any new oil into it. All right, let's have a look. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's the oil line. That blue line there. It's definitely leaking at the line. All right, I'm gonna grab a wrench and see if it's loose, because the oil line on the engine itself was loose too. So from what I understand, this car was in the process of having the engine removed. So a lot of things were disconnected, and maybe they had already disconnected this, I don't know, or it's been leaking for years, who knows. But I don't see any other oil stains, so this is very recent. Let me grab a wrench and see if we can tighten that up. Or if not, we're gonna have to take it off and delete it. So really, it's kind of a good news, bad news kind of thing, because one, it tells us we have some oil pressure, so we know the oil pump is working. And the bad news, it's leaking. So if we can tighten it up, we'll be all right. That's probably what happened. It was probably in the process of getting removed, because I don't see any oil around the gauge itself. Let's see if I can do this. Oh yeah, it's completely loose. Yeah, not just a little bit, a lot. So, yeah, definitely it was on its way out. Well, at least we know we got some oil pressure, and we have a gauge, so if the gauge still works, we'll be able to see what's going on. But it's a good sign that it's pumping a bit of oil. It's not, the oil pump's not dead anyways. All right, that should do it. Well, while we're down here, let's look for that coil. Where is the coil? There it is. And it does have a coil wire on it, but you can see that this has been rewired. You can tell by the connectors. And there's a lot of loose wires here. So it was in the process of something anyways, but we're just going to disregard pretty much all the wiring. There is an ignition switch here, but the wires are all loose on that too. So we're just gonna go from basically from the battery to the back of the coil and to the distributor, and we'll put a switch in there somewhere. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. But this is 6 volt, so I don't want to blow the coil up if it's still good. We'll figure out something to get 6 volts to it, or something close. But okay, so we got oil pressure a little bit, and the oil leak fixed. All right, let's move on to some coil wiring. So I was thinking before I wire this coil in, maybe we should just test it and see if it's even close to working condition before we go ahead. So I've got my multimeter set up here on the 200 ohm scale, and I've got the one lead onto the back of the coil where the other connector is, and we're going to touch it to this connector here, and according to the internet we should be getting 1.4, and we're not quite getting, oh, there's 1.3, Looks like that's about all we're going to get is 1.3, which is on the low side, perhaps, for a regular coil. So it might work as far as that goes. Now we'll check the high tension. Let me find a screwdriver here, and we'll set the scale at 20K. That's what the internet says, so we're going to try it. Jam that in there. And the internet says at least 3,000 ohms. So I'm on the 20,000 scale. I got 3.03. I'm not a rocket scientist here, so I'm not sure if that's correct or not. I'm not sure if that is 3,000 or just 3. Anyways, we did the test, and that's what we got. If somebody knows, yeah, give me a shout out and let me know if I'm on the right track here, because this is not really my thing, electronics. Anyways, we did the test. Now we'll carry on with the wiring and hope for the best. All right, I think we've got the ignition system finally figured out. Let me show you where we're at. Okay, so here is our ignition coil, and we got our wire to the distributor all the way down there. Now on these particular vehicles, this coil is accessed from the back for the ignition source to the ignition switch. And I'll just show you an example here. This is a coil that we pulled out of the 1946 Ford Super Deluxe. I think it was in the back seat actually, but and I almost got bit by a snake, but that's fine. As you can see, there's one terminal on the front and there's one on the back. So this actually sits in there as this one does, very similar anyways. And you access the ignition source from the ignition switch to the back of the coil inside the vehicle. So that's all fine and dandy. So I have a wire here which is coming from inside the vehicle at the back of that coil. And so we're going to have to stick this somewhere, maybe up there. We'll tape it on right there. We'll just tape it on there, that's fine. Now this is a 6-volt positive ground system. So we're going to need, well, I mean, I got a 12-volt battery to start it, but that's probably going to blow up that coil. I hate to do that when we're so close to trying to start this up. Everything else is in place, but so my big idea, which is brilliant, I think, one of the most brilliant ideas I've had in 10 years, is this antique battery charger. That's going to be our ignition source. And the only reason I'm choosing this is because it has a 6 and a 12 volt range. So if we use the 6 volt range, that's going to give us probably 6 volts, which maybe that's good for this coil or maybe not. I don't know about resistors and all that crap. We're not going to worry about that. That's too technical. We're at 6 volts, that's close. Might be too strong, who knows. But that's all we really need to do, I think. So that means, since this is a positive ground vehicle, so this has got to be hooked to a ground, if I'm right, because we don't want to commingle our voltages here. Because I was thinking maybe I would connect the negative to the battery, but then we might be commingling the voltages and we might end up with who knows. So let's keep them completely separate. We'll just use this for the starter, and then we use the battery charger for the ignition source, which should be 6 volts. I guess we're going to find out. Where is the ground? Okay, yeah, I keep getting confused with these grounds, a positive ground. But if I'm right, then the positive should go to the ground and the negative should go to the back of the coil, which is this wire here. Okay, let's just do it. Okay, let me tape that up, get everything set up, and what else we got to do? We got gas. We got all the ignition wiring. We got a battery. Everything. I don't know. Like, I'm almost afraid to try because I might have just wasted the last 6 months of my life. All right, let's get set up and just do it. All right, I don't know about that carburetor. We might have to dump some fuel down the carburetor because I don't think the accelerator pump is going to work at all. So let me set you up. We'll hook up some wires and give it a shot. All right. Okay, I think we're all set here. We've got our battery charger for our 6-volt power. Let me just tape that up so it doesn't short out somewhere in the process. And that goes to the back of our coil for the ignition source. That should be all right. And we want the negative to the coil because this is a positive ground vehicle. And what else? Yeah, we need some gas to put in the carb. And we've already primed the carb earlier in the video. So we know the carburetor is full, but I checked a couple times and there's no accelerator pump whatsoever. So we're going to pour a little bit down there and see if that gets us going. Just steal some from here. It's your standard Tupperware fuel container. That should do it. Close that for safety. Let's put a little dribble in. It's just to get it started. I don't know, is that enough? And choke maybe. It's about 50 degrees in here. So I'm going to say yes to the choke. How does it work? Like that. There should be a choke cable on that, but I don't see anything here from the past, so I don't know how that was working. Okay, yeah, that should do it. We've got ignition, fuel, compression. Where's the starting tool? This one. The old Start-O-Matic. And we'll just short the starter out and see what happens. Hang on. Nothing. Yeah, I got doubts about this ignition system, to be honest, but I mean, it's all old stuff. The rotor, yeah. Why is that not reading? Oh, might help if you actually connected it to the ground, positive ground. Okay, there we go. 5 amps. If that doesn't do it, nothing will. Okay, this should help. Good one, old man. I just heard something. I want to caution you, there's no exhaust on this, just a exhaust pipe. I heard a couple cylinders go. Let's give it another shot. Wonder if I should manipulate the throttle. Where is the throttle? Right there. Yeah? Yep. Okay, let's try it. Well, we got a couple of cylinders. Is that too much choke? That doesn't sound that bad. It's rocking a bit. We got no coolant, so we can't run it long. That's with no choke. Let me give it a little choke. Doesn't even need it. Wow. It's got a little rock to it. But it could be the ignition wires. They're pretty old. Oh, we got better check for oil pressure. All right, it's showing on the gauge. Let's just shut her down for a sec. We can't run it for too long, but it's running. Now it is shaking, but you know, after 30 years, yeah, you'd be a little shaky too. Okay, yeah, it's functioning. It doesn't sound that bad. I don't hear any clanging or banging. I should put a muffler on it and see if it quiets down a little bit and we could hear everything. Now, I couldn't see too much on the oil pressure gauge. It looks like it's moving, but I can't be sure. It's pretty ancient piece of equipment. This is fantastic. We got a runner. 1941 Chrysler Business Coupe. Back from the dead. Woo! Yeah! Fantastic. Well, at least I didn't waste the last 6 months of my life. That's a good thing. All right, let's start it up again. I want to get that oil kind of flowing a bit. We can't let it get too warm because there's no coolant, but let's get this oil mixed up a little bit. I'm sure I can run it for a couple minutes, right? Don't short out. 5 amps. Wow, it doesn't sound bad. Let's give it another shot. Like, yeah, it's rocking a little bit, but let's hit the throttle. Yeah, she's definitely got a mist to her. Yeah, you can see it rocking. But that's without doing any tuning whatsoever. Have a look at the oil. Oh, that don't look too good. But it's a runner. Now what? Can't let her get too hot. See if we got oil pressure. Well, oh man, hard to see. Not a lot. And she's shaking a bit. That's not bad though. I mean, it needs a bit of tuning. Maybe the timing is off. I never set the timing. Wow. You know what? You know what I don't see is a lot of smoke. Okay, we better shut her down. It's gonna get too hot. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, there she's starting to steam. Must be some water in the block. Okay, we can't run it anymore. Let's have a look at the oil. Because remember how gruesome this was when we did this a couple of videos ago? Okay. Yeah. Kind of got a gray tinge to it. I don't know. All right, here's what I'm thinking. It didn't run for long, but that oil, you know, there's a big mixture in there of oils and cleaners, and there's probably still water and sludge. I think the best thing we can do right now is change that oil real quick, because it's all probably circulated by now. It's been running for a couple minutes. And I'd really like to get that contaminated oil out of the pan and see what it looks like. So let's get under there and do that real quick and see what it looks like. All right, let me get set up. Let's get that oil out of there. Well, it's semi-warm at least. Get all the contaminants out, or more of them anyways. And figure out what we got to put in here for real oil. I don't really know, but we'll figure it out. That's not very tight. That's good. Let's hope all the water's kind of mingled with all the additives and other oils I put in here. And it'll come out maybe a bit cleaner next time around. But we got to figure out some really good oil to put in here. This thing deserves a good shot of quality oil. Oh, hang on, old man, don't get excited. All right, here we go. Hopefully no water this time. Okay. Oh, it looks like mud from this side. Where's my light? Oh, okay, it's brown. Yeah, brown mud. Yeah, it's dirty. Very dirty. But we still see a kind of lumpy stuff coming out. Yep, there it is. So we know it definitely needed to be changed quickly. That's a lot better looking than what we had the first time. So let's carry on. All right. Oh, I got it. Okay, so we've got the oil draining out. I'm gonna let that sit overnight. And I'm not sure where we go from here now. We've got a lot of things we should do on this project. But we're very happy. Well, I'm very happy, and I'm glad everybody stuck with me for the last 6 months or so and hung in there for the actual firing up of this old girl. We should fix the carburetor because I can see it's leaking a bit at the top where the top gasket. So that's not fitting proper, but and the accelerator pump. So maybe we need a carburetor gasket kit. That would probably be a smart move. Now that we know the engine runs, the timing is probably, you know, all wrong. So we should look into doing the timing properly. I think a new set of wires would be an idea. A cap, rotor, and wires. Points, well, I think the points are okay for now, but we'll see what the prices are on that stuff. But yeah, we should give it a little bit of tuning up, see if we can get it running a bit smoother. It is running rough, but it seems to idle fine, just a bit of a shake. So we know most of the cylinders are working, so that's a good sign. So those are the kinds of things we need to do. For the rest, yeah, we've got a ton of stuff we should do eventually, but one thing at a time. And the first thing was to get it running, and now we kind of have some direction. If the transmission works, which we're gonna have to check that, then we could possibly keep this all stock and drive it with this nice old flathead. Why not? It's a fluid drive, by the way, so that's going to be an interesting situation too. But I'm very happy, and thank you everybody for sticking with me and showing up for this video. I really appreciate it, and hope to catch you on the next one. Take care. I think we'll give it a diesel fuel rinse before we put the plug in, and then we'll figure out what we're going to put in for new oil. But this will help get the sludge out of the bottom of the pan. How's that look? Okay, that's good. It's running clear at least. Yeah, I think we got a good bit of sludge out of that bottom of that pan. Let the rest of it drain in that other pan. Okay. Well, it definitely looks a little murky, but I think that was a good idea. That was actually one of, well, a few subscribers mentioned that this might not be a bad idea to get the sludge out of the bottom of the pan, and it looks like it did do that quite nicely. All right, let's recycle this stuff and find some good oil to put in her. Well, it seems I'm not that smart because I got the firing order wrong. I got the 6 and the 2 mixed up. So that explains the shaking. So let's fire it up and have another look. Yeah, that's much better. I also put a oil pressure gauge in. So we got about, I don't know, 25, 30 pounds maybe, give or take. That's a little bit better. All right, let's shut her down. As I was saying, yeah, we got about 20, 30 pounds of pressure while it's idling. So that's much better. All right, catch you later.